Hey everyone, it's Nella here. Today I'm going to talk about how magic works at the Curiosity Shop. And if you've been watching my videos for a little while, you know that there are actually three stories that my dolls are characters in. Um, there's Fleur's story, Alwyn's story, and then there's the Curiosity Shop storyline, which connects them. I should say connects them. That works. Um, So magic actually works differently in Flair's world and in Almond's world. The reason for this is I grew up with reading a lot of fantasy, watching a lot of fantasy, and actually science fiction also. Um, and I kind of liked two of the ideas of how magic, about the inherent nature of magic. Um, One is that magic is either in itself inherently beneficial, um, or that there's no such thing as good or bad magic, that magic is neutral and it's the intent of the person using magic that makes it good or bad. The other viewpoint is that magic is inherently corruptive. She's like a corrupting influence, is bad influence, and has kind of a will of its own. Um, so as I have the two separate storylines, I'm able to pursue both those theories. Um, I'll start off with Flair's. Hers is the one that I personally prefer in my fiction, which is that magic is neutral and has to do with how it's used that makes it good or bad. Um, Essentially making magic a tool, and it has to do with how a person uses that tool that, makes it a good or bad thing. So that's how it works in Flair's story. I actually give an example of how that actually works with Flair. Yes, Flair has magic. Um, she actually uses it, but it's subconscious. She has no conscious control of it. Um, and there's actually three ways that her magic kind of works and affects the world around her. First off, her magic keeps her glamour on her. So, how she looks, the human way that she looks, is due to her magic keeping her glamour going. So, not a good thing, not a bad thing. It's neutral. Um, the second thing it does is Fleur actually has a magical kind of calming aura. It's a very accepting aura. It kind of protects the people around her, keeps them kind of happy, or just kind of pleasant and cheerful, and actually keeps negative thoughts and negative emotions from affecting them as strongly. So that's a really good thing. I mean, that's a really nice side effect of her magic. And the third way is that her magic affects her is actually one that has caused her problems in the past. As Nixies like using the magic to manipulate people, one of their inherent magical features is that they kind of cast this aura of attractiveness. They can kind of bewitch people very easily with their looks and with their voices. And Fleur has a bit of this that happens unconsciously. Which means that pretty much she's always had guys and girls trying to get with her. Thankfully, she had a very protective older brother named Riel, who made sure that no one made the moves on his little sister, or rather that unless she wanted, unless you want to maybe date this person, he made so they'd stay back and not touch her. I have a cartoon image of that, which I'll put right here. There we go. Um, So that would be an image of Fleur probably at her first day of high school being hit on by an upperclassman. It doesn't go far because Riel is just behind her. You can't see him because he's shorter. Just behind her, with his hockey stick, because he's just come from hockey practice, and he's like, "Are you messing around with my sister? You were 3 years older than her. Don't touch her." Yeah, he is awesome and protective like that. So that's kind of how magic works in her world. Alwyn's world, on the other hand, is of the camp that says that magic is corruptive and kind of has a will of its own. Yeah, so this kind of falls under the Alwyn's story has loads of elements that creep me out and yeah, kind of make me go, oh, why did I write that? But it makes sense for the character, but so in Owen's world, yeah, magic is inherently transformative. It definitely leans towards the more magic kind of, I don't even know how to say that. I'll give an example. Alwyn's eyes before she started learning magic were gray. They are now pink. Ethel's eyes were hazel. They're now pale yellow. And actually, as you continue to use and learn magic, it actually affects your appearance more and more. Faust, for instance, has white hair and red eyes. He was born with light brown hair and dark brown eyes. So that's kind of a really big difference to happen in, 13, 14, 15 so years. That's a pretty big difference. And magic does kind of have a will of its own. Without apprentices and masters doing anything, the magic between them will actually forge a psychic and emotional link between them. It's partially to keep both of them protected, so like if one of them, say the apprentice, goes off and is being threatened, the fear sort of will transfer to the master, who will either get a sense, and then the master will be able to use their psychic bond to figure out or sense where the apprentice is. They can go and help them out. This is also very much abused by some practitioners of magic, because you can use it to influence your apprentice. Or once your apprentice is themselves a master magician, you can still affect their thoughts to a certain degree. It can affect their feelings, their emotions, that sort of stuff. Yeah, which is, it's one of those really creepy parts of Alwyn's story, because I'll just quickly throw this out here, and I'll probably do another video another time going more into detail about this part. But the villain of Alwyn's story is the female practitioner of magic that taught both Faust and Mordred. So she can still use that bond to affect how Alwyn's master will act. Yeah, so that's really, really creepy and really freaky, and still freaks me out sometimes when I'll be writing and I'm like, wait, why did I put that in that story again? And I go, oh right, because it makes sense in how the world is built. I don't know. World building kind of goes in ways sometimes that you don't always expect or feel entirely comfortable with. But yeah, that's a bit how magic works. And actually, interesting note, Finn because he can see through magic, he can actually see Alwyn's magic. So Finn actually finds Flair's magic very comforting because, as I mentioned, her aura or whatever actually like comforts and soothes. Which is part of the reason why Finn really likes Flair. The other part is because she's really nice to him. However, the first time Finn sees Alwyn with his magic eyes, he screams and almost faints. Well, he doesn't almost, but he screams and he just goes like stock still. And the reason for this is, in Finn's eyes, when he sees the magic, Alwyn has these kind of very dense, kind of like coils of smoke around her and that wrap around her and kind of move, sort of like tentacles. That's Alwyn's magic. Also quite in contrast to Flair's calming, soothing, reassuring aura. The feeling that Finn gets off of Alwyn's magic when he can see it. He doesn't have this when he doesn't have his magic eyes on. But when he can see them, he gets this feeling of dread. Something bad's going to happen, feeling of unease. And also this feeling that whatever those smoke things are connected to, it doesn't like that he can see it. Yeah, so two completely different views of magic, but they both exist at the Curiosity Shop. Okay. Bye, everyone.